From Reminder Media, this is Stay Paid, a sales and marketing podcast on a mission to help you close more deals and retain more business. Hosted by the VP of Marketing, Josh Steik, and Reminder Media's president, Luke Acree. So get ready to hear the golden nuggets that will allow you to live a life of freedom tomorrow, but only if you take action today.
Welcome to another Silver Dollar episode of Stay Paid, the best sales and marketing tips of your week in 15 minutes or less. My name is Joshua Steik.
I'm Luke Acree.
In order to generate leads for your business, Luke, you have to market yourself and your marketing messages have to be effective. But how do you know what the best message is?
Yeah. What is this? Are you doing that because it's close to Halloween?
No, I don't know. I'm asking you if you have any idea.
Frankenstein.
how to make the best marketing
Okay,
message.
how you do it? No.
That is where testing comes into play. You have to test and track your headlines, your images, your offers to find out what resonates most with your clients to capture their intention in order for you to capture more leads. So today we're going to talk about what to test, how to test, and then some tools that you can actually use to implement and perform those tests.
I love it. And if you're wondering, wow, Luke has a computer. Luke never has a computer. Yeah. I have no notes in front of me. I just have email.
You had your computer for the last one.
I had mine for the last one,
so
but
you
I
could
just
read a definition of a word.
Yeah, I just realized, I was like, well, I don't know why I had this computer in front of me. I have no notes.
Now, when it comes to testing your marketing, this is, you'll have heard the term A/B testing.
Yes.
Right? All that means, A/B testing, is you're testing one thing against the variation of another thing. But what you want to really focus on, and this is where we'll get into like how to test, because a lot of times the mistake that people make is they want to test this version of something that has this headline, this image, this copy, this button against a completely different one with a different image, different copy, different headline, different button to see which one works better. And you're not going to get the data that you need to get. So the most important thing when it comes to A/B testing, and there's only one time where you should break this rule, and we're going to talk about it closer to the end of the podcast, but is to change one variable. So you want to focus on a single variable. So if you're doing your email marketing, your first variable that you should start with is your subject. Very, very obvious, very easy to do in all of the different email platforms. They actually have, most email platforms are going to have an A/B tool where you can plug in the exact same body copy, the exact same call to action, the same image. So your email design will be exactly the same, but then you'll test your subject lines. You'll test one subject line versus a second subject line. And we'll get into a little bit more of this about what else you should be testing. But then your goal there is to find whichever one gets the best open rate. That's the one that you want to send to all of your audience, because your success there is measured by how many people can you actually get to see your message.
Yeah, and you would be surprised how the littlest change can make the biggest difference.
A great example would be use the same subject and put an emoji in one.
Yes.
Just to see if emojis have an impact on your particular audience, because I've read stats where emojis are less effective, but we continue to see stats in our own analytics where the use of emojis are actually more effective. The other thing I would do here in terms of your thought process behind how to test is always create a hypothesis. So always don't go in saying like, I don't know which one's going to win, but I'm going to try these two. Create a hypothesis of which one you think will win and why you think it will win, because this will sharpen your mind and your marketing kind of psychological approach from the standpoint of, if you're right, then you'll know that your way of thinking and your gut is accurate. You'll be able to trust that more going forward.
That's so good.
If you're wrong, then you want to analyze, well, why was I wrong? Where did I get this part wrong? Is it the audience that I sent it to? Is it the style of the headline that I used? And if you're considering why you believe that one would be the winner in the first place, let's say you used one, with a bunch of exclamation points. Like, I think that one will win because it looks more exciting. Well, that might teach you exclamation points are actually spam filters or spam traps. Like, one of my ISPs, the people that provide the email services, they actually look at too many exclamation points as potential spam.
Super interesting. So I guess the question for you would be, like, when it comes to A/B testing, right? A/B is to test. Would you recommend people test as much as they can that they can keep in order and commit it to? So i.e., if you had 3-4 different variations of an email subject line that was only one change, and you could test all 4 of those, and you send out to a subset of your client list to see which one lit, would you recommend that? Or would you say no, stick to just one?
Oh, no, you can
test?
definitely do more.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, you can go A/B, you can do A, B, C, D, E, F, G. I mean,
dude, you know the alphabet. That's really good.
At what point? I think that was a burn. They actually have in email applications, like, It'll say,
I know. It was just funny how you did
it'll
that.
say like add C, add D. So that in my mind, that's where
I'm
went.
like, do you think you should do like more than A, B? You're like, no, there's more. There's A, B, C, D, E, F, G.
We got a whole alphabet of
you so
options
much.
here.
No. I would say my face is turning red. I would say absolutely you could, especially if you're trying like slight variations like that.
But what about us? Like,
but
do we?
If you go too crazy, like if you try 5 completely different subject lines, it's not necessarily going to teach you anything, because what am I going to want to do as a marketer? Well, I'm going to want to take the best 3 and then test those next time, and then the best 2 before I drill down to the one that actually works. So that's where I would say be careful with how many you throw in there. But yes, you can go through the alphabet if you'd like. The other thing that I would like to point out to make me sound smart again is to go back and look at your past data. So as you're going into testing, like look at what has performed well for you in the past.
Yeah, it's great advice.
That's what you want to start with. That's sort of your baseline, and then add on variations from there. So in terms of what to actually test, we talked about subject lines, in email is obviously a big one, and maybe keep walking through this idea of emails. Once you have a subject line that's working really well for you, or a style that is going to work well, the next thing you might want to move into would be the hero image in your email. So now that you've got people opening at the highest clip that you can get people opening your emails, the next thing might be your hero image to see what actually draws someone into the copy of your email. Then after that, once you've got your hero image, try the copy. What type of copy can you, you can actually change, write 2 different sets of copy for each email. And then the biggest one, and I would probably move to this one after the subject line, would be your call to action. So testing a different call to action in your email to see which one is more likely to get someone to visit your website. That can also include the color of your link. So if you use like a button in your emails, like testing 2 different colors of your link. There's been so many tests and articles written on like how changing the color
psychology
of a button
of
on a
colors.
web page, to green, increase conversion rates incredibly.
Now, a question for you here on how do you track for you going, okay, my subject line versus my copy versus my call to action. How do I know if it was my copy or my call to action?
A, B, C, D, E.
No. EFG, no.
If you would not change.
So meaning like
you wouldn't change all of those at once.
Yeah. So I guess the question would be is your subject line, your open rate.
Yes.
Your click-through rate could be your copy or your call to action. And so you would basically go systematically down going, it must be my copy. It must be my copy.
Yeah. So if you have an email that you're sending out regularly, because you're not going to go to all this length for, a single email blast or a one-off type of promotion. But if you have an email that you send out regularly, for example, one of ours is, can I send you a PDF sample? We send this email out a ton. The first thing that we started with was really the subject and how can we get the most people to open this? So what we ended up settling on was, Luke, can I send you a sample of our new magazine? That was the one that got the best open rate. From there, then the next thing that we would test would be the actual call to action in the email. Is see a sample more effective than get a sample? And I know it sounds crazy, but that level of detail, get a sample, we would see better success with, because you're getting something, right? You feel like you're actually requesting something. You're going to receive something from that. So that's what I mean from that standpoint. And we send that email over and over and over again, because our list is always growing. So we know that that's one of those emails that we really want to refine really, really well. Other things that you might want to test would be your offers. So if you do have an offer for your product or your services, testing different ways of wording your offer. Little behind the scene action. This is for any of our clients that might be listening as well. Just so you can
secret.
We did this St. Patrick's Day promo a couple years ago now. And it was like you spun the 4-leaf clover to see which deal you got. And it was a promotion that we do a lot. We do this add clients, like add 20 clients, get 10 free on your next mailing type of thing. Yeah. So we had the same offer worded 3 different ways. One was get 50% off your new recipients up to 20. One was buy 1, get 1 free up to 20. And then the other one was, I wrote it down here. So, get 10 free. Yeah. If you add 20 magazines, you get 10 free, right? So
all the same offer.
Same offer, worded different ways. And we ran this test twice. The 50% off new recipients won every single time.
That's so interesting. It's the psychology there.
From there, we streamlined our processes and basically said, we never need to test this again. Mark this one on the books. 50% off new recipients is going to work. Yeah. And that allows you to focus on the next piece in your marketing without having to wonder, hey, do I need to test anything else in that one? Landing page would be the other thing that you want to A/B test. Your call to action, we mentioned that a little bit. We went through email.
Your call scripts. You can do this same methodology.
Yeah.
You
Intro,
literally can
A/B test your intro.
Exactly. Your intro, your value proposition, basically your presentation, your closes, your objections. How do you test it? Well, for us, it's the same thing as you're measuring your analytics for email marketing of open and click-through rates. You're measuring, hey, how many of my callers, how many calls do they get engagement, i.e. the intro is good. No, the intro is not working. We're not getting through the gatekeeper. We're not getting through the first 30 seconds. Oh, when I get to the close, how many calls do I have that don't close type idea? Oh, I need to work on my close. You can do the same methodology. We've done the same thing.
I love that. You could do that with your door knocking. You could do that
with everything.
Audiences would be the other thing to test on. So testing. So this is where you'd want to keep the creative the same, but change the audience that you're sending to see which audiences are more effective. So then once you get to the actual implementation phase, first tip I'm going to give you is just commit to the winner. Don't second guess the data. Commit to the winner. Use that.
Don't go to like E and F and G. Don't go to those ones.
Or Y and Z.
Or Y and Z.
If you got to Z, you went way too far. I mentioned this a little bit earlier, but once you have that in place, move on to the next thing that you want to test, right? Add a new variable in. So keeping track of what you've tested so far and adding in a new variable, and then keep that master list of your winners and your losers. If you're going to go to this trouble to test things, don't make the mistake of testing something that you already knew didn't work because you weren't keeping track of what worked and what didn't work.
Yeah, don't test for the sake of test.
Some tools that you can use for this, and this is where I'll say, I break the rule with the variables. Facebook has this dynamic creative feature. So if you're running Facebook ads, you can actually plug in like as many headlines as you want. You can plug in like 5 different, well, maybe it's not. I think it might be 5. You can plug in like 5 different headlines, 5 different calls to action, and 5 different, I think it even lets you do 5 different images. And Facebook actually does the work
of
awesome. Mixing and matching all of the headlines with all of the images, with all of the buttons, and ultimately delivers back which ones are performing the most.
That's crazy. And that's awesome.
It goes as far as just basically putting the spend towards the one that's working most. You don't even really have to make the decision. So if you've got like some sort of system that allows you to mix and match and test all of that, obviously with Facebook, you're hitting a much wider audience as well. So your number of impressions is going to be so much more than the number of impressions you'll get through your email. Google Optimize is a great tool. You don't need to know code in order to use this. Google Optimize will actually allow you to test different pieces of your landing pages and of your websites. So it'll actually randomly display, if 2 people come to your site, one person might see, X headline.
I got
the other person is going to see Y headline. The one that produces the most actions from there is the one that would be considered the winner. And then, of course, your email applications. Every email application is going to have A/B testing, MailChimp, HubSpot, Drip, Keep. You have all of that. To refine your almost like your critical eye for A/B testing, there's this website called guessthetest.com. You can go there and you can vote on which website or email you think will win. I'm going to have to check that out. And then it'll tell you if you were right or not. So cool.
No, I love it. I think, what you said about that hypothesis is so critical.
Yeah.
So critical.
Yeah. No, we talk about it as a marketing team as well. It's like, hey, which one do we think is going
and
to
win?
And why? I talk to our director of marketing all the time, Dan, and talk about, which one do we think is going to win and why?
And it really is about the psychology of walking through the context of where this person is at in the funnel.
Same thing with your intro calls that you were talking about. Kind of predict which intro script is going to work the best.
And you're guessing based upon the experience of the person you're calling. Yeah.
There you go. Thank you so much for listening. Half of you received this episode and the other half got a second version of it. We're going to see which episode.
I was like, that's Inception right there.
Inception. Head on over to staypaidpodcast.com for the show notes and the video of this episode. If you like this episode and want to support the show, we'd love if you subscribe on Apple Podcasts, leave us a 5-star review and a comment to let us know how we're doing. And the best way to help out the show is to share this with a friend. If you want to get hold of me or Luke, you can email us at podcast@remindermedia.com, or you can find us on Instagram. We're at staypaidpodcast. Today's dad joke. My father doesn't trust anyone. In fact, he has a saying, but he won't tell me. For this episode of Stay Paid, I'm Joshua Stike.
I'm Luke Acree. And guys, here's my action item.
I don't know if it works. I don't know if this order works. It doesn't give Luke enough time to recover.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah, I agree. Item.
It's like we need some A/B testing
time
here. We need to try it next time without doing that.
That's what I should have done.
Yeah, we
A/B tested the dad jokes.
A/B tested it. Here's the thing. Your action item is this: try. All of you probably have an email newsletter going out or some type of email that goes out to your database. Split your database in half. 50-50, test a different subject line, right? We'll change one variable and see what you get better wise. But before you do that, make sure you're developing your hypothesis of which one you think is going to perform better so you can really craft your marketing mind. Remember, the difference between a top producer and a mediocre producer is top producers test. No, I'm just kidding. Top producers take action. Take action on that today.